We are back. Week 5.
Right, week 5. Patties, how you doing?
Patties, I know we just celebrated your day, but we are glad to be back for another week.
Yeah, that's pretty creative. I liked your little graphic you had on Sunday. That was nice.
Yeah, shout out to our listeners. I had a couple listeners suggest that to me, and I thought, hey, what better way to celebrate what us dads like to do other than watching sports and hanging around drinking beer, so we might as well celebrate to our day.
Yeah. Happy Patty's Day.
Happy Patty's Day. Of course, we know we've talked about it in the past. Just want to thank you guys again so much for your support. Again, one way to continue to support us is just get the word out and continue to follow us on our social medias and spread the words to your friends, your family, whoever, and hopefully we can get a little bit of momentum carrying.
Yeah, and every social media, it's Patriarch Podcast, so at Patriarch Podcast. So we're going to try to link them into the description on these episodes, but it's Patriarch Podcast for X, Instagram, and TikTok. And so just if you can go and try to find those and follow them, that'd be awesome. And Jake posted about the Instagram about our bracket challenge. So if you want to be enjoying it and all that, I think it's fun. I think we got about 12 guys right now, or 12 people. And so if we could get more, it's just a fun little thing. And the winner's going to get some swag. So.
Yeah, get some swag. So join on in and be a part of that. We're super excited about that and just trying to create a little bit of fan base and some interaction with our people. So awesome. Let's get into it. Segment 1, weekend review.
Let's do it.
Hobbs,
yeah.
Talk about last week.
Yeah, last week was good. It was a good spring break. Then I'm pretty much starting from Sunday on. Got some good feed on the lawn, high nitrogen feed, and then it rained, so that's always like the money, like when I don't have to turn the sprinkler on to get the fertilizer or the feed in, so that was awesome. We got the kids' haircuts. Actually, this is probably the highlight. It was going to be the low light for Parker because we usually go to a lady that Amy knows. She has a shop in downtown Belton, the kids got sick last week, so we had to cancel our appointment. So I've had the great idea because when I grew up, I just went to like Supercuts or whatever, and if you don't know this, if you watch our videos on YouTube, I'm bald, so I haven't gone to a barber in a long time or anywhere like that. So, but I just said, why don't we just go to Great Cuts? There's one right down the street, and whatever. And so
not my bag, baby.
Yeah. So my dad goes there, and Brian. So I was like, how bad could it be? So anyway, we went.
It could be real bad.
And we found out Nathan's ended up fine, but Parker, he got jacked up, man. And it was like, because they wet it down, so it's hard to tell until they get home.
Yeah.
And it would look like he had like waves, like black guys would have like a wavy hair. It looked like it was because like when she was cutting the top, it was like she was missing, evening it out it looked like he had 3 rings on the top of his head. And I was like,
his front yard had a couple ruts in it.
Yeah, and so it was bad. And so we sent him to school, came home, and I was just looking at him thinking, I can cut that. I can fix that. I can do this.
You put on the Superman cape.
And I'm going to be honest with you, Amy was like all for it. She was like, yeah, sure, go for it. So
it can't get worse at this point.
I mean, I guess at this point we'll just shave it if it gets any worse. So I put him in the tub, and I just started thinking back to when, I used to get my haircuts. And thinking, I think she tried to do it like horizontally, like across it, when she should have been doing it vertically, from back to front when you were trying to even it out.
Yeah.
And so it was really easy. I just snipped across all 3 layers of that ring, and it looks a lot better. I'm not saying it's perfect, but now I'm like, why am I paying for this?
Nah.
Like, this is something I can do. It could be a father-son bonding, and I don't think that's going to happen. but I'm thinking about it, and
Hobbs is going to go back to cosmetology school here in the summer.
I'm not saying those ladies don't do a good job, but it's when both my kids go, it's $50.
Hey, a good cosmetologist makes pretty good money.
And a bad one, because I have them in Great Clips, they don't make much less.
They don't make much less. So here's my deal, and this is why I stopped going to Great Clips. I used to go there in college because they would run, the one in town would run a student discount. So with your student ID, they knock a couple bucks off. I'm like, sweet, that's a couple more bucks I can save to my weekend, whatever.
Yeah.
And here's the problem with it, going consistently to a place like that. It's never the same person. There's so much turnover. So I would go in there and I would get my hair cut. Well, one time this lady was giving me an edge up. I don't need an edge up. Mm-mm. Let's just be clear about that. Well, what happened when it was time for the edge up to go away, then everything starts to try to level out. So then I'd get these hairs in the front, and Chloe can attest. I would get these hairs in the front that would just were complete. I looked like a half shade Furby. It just didn't make any sense to me.
No, you're not the type of guy that needs an edge up.
No, and so I stopped doing that. And honestly, there is something to be said about a good, normal barber.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and so after I was telling my dad about the great clips or great cuts or whatever it's called. I think it's great clips.
It's not great cuts.
Yeah, it's not great cuts.
It's not great cuts.
False advertising. He was like, because I was like, because that's where you go, right? And he was like, well, yeah, but it's pretty hit or miss. I was like, I forget that this guy lives at the lake. He's retired now. He can care less what his hair looks like.
Thanks, Grandpa.
I was like, all right, Dad, well, thanks. He was like, well, when you were a kid, I used to just cut your hair. I was like, yep. And let's look at those pictures.
And that's why God did me the favor and got rid of it. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, what a great story. What a great pick-me-up to your week. That's awesome, I'm sure. I saw him this week, and he looked normal, so I couldn't even tell. So that's great. So, want to highlight, I know I talked about it last week. Me and Chloe spent a couple days at spring break at Nashville, Nashville. And let me tell you.
Pictures look great.
I was very pleased with the trip. I don't love to travel. I'm very particular about where I travel. Chloe loves to travel. She'll go anywhere. And that's what I love about her. We are just very much the opposites, and so she really motivates me to get out there and go see new sights. And it was one of the best trips that we've had in a really long time. We stayed at the Graduate Hotel, which, if you don't know, Graduate is a chain of hotels that it's a play off a school, but they're in every university town. So there's one in Chapel Hill, there's one in, I think, Knoxville, there's one in Dallas, there's one coming to Austin, and so really good hotel chain that I just heard recently that got bought out by Hilton, and so they're doing something quite well. And so I would suggest if you ever get to go to a Graduate, they're a boutique hotel, but it is a great weekend stay for you.
Yeah, that's a good tip, because I think they had one in Auburn, but I know we didn't stay there, but yeah.
Yeah, it is great boutique for a weekend getaway to go to a college football game or just go out with a wife, and so I would suggest staying there. But let me tell you, Nashville as a whole, it is a very clean town. They do a very, very good job of just the downtown area being clean. There wasn't a ton of homeless people. I was thinking it was going to be like Austin, right?
Like a normal, just a downtown area. Normal downtown.
Normal downtown.
What you're expecting if you go to like Dallas downtown and you just normal. But you found like it was actually kind of like small town? Or maybe just like a nice...
Just a nice, well-maintained
area.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was like Dallas as far as just being huge.
Yeah.
Everything on Broadway is their big main strip where Firestone Arena is... Or Bridgestone Arena is... Where all their bars and stuff are. It's kind of the main drag there. And I thought going in that I was going to equate it to like New Orleans, Bourbon Street. And it is a much nicer, much cleaner...
because you flew back on Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I was watching the Aggies on Saturday. They were playing in Nashville at Bridgestone, and they were showing Broadway.
Yeah.
And it looked packed. It looked like there was people everywhere.
It was packed. Of course, I posted pictures walking down by the Bridgestone because we walked down there on Friday. We hung out down there, and I'll get to that in a second. We went down to the Country Music Hall of Fame, which was right down there, and there was just a lot of people. Of course, the tournaments were going on. We were down there the day that Kentucky and Tennessee both got beat, and there were a ton of Tennessee and Kentucky fans. They travel the best because the expectation is that they're going to win it all, right?
So they just go home, or do they just hang out the rest of the weekend?
Some of them drive home because it's not too far, especially the Tennessee fans because they're around there.
3 hours.
But there's a couple people that I saw that were just hanging out. They're like, if we're going to be here, we might as well stay until Sunday. So all that to being said, it was a great trip. So on Friday we were down there. We did a couple things, but we spent the majority of the afternoon at Luke Bryan's bar.
Oh.
I don't know if you've seen recently, but Luke Bryan's bar has been in the media for the Riley Strand disappearance.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of weird because at that point I hadn't heard about any of it in the media. And I get on Fox pretty regularly. I stay up to date. Well, we were there Friday hanging out. We had a really good time. The bar felt safe to me, very clean. Again, not like anything you would see on Bourbon Street. And then when we get back to the hotel, I'm scrolling through Fox News on my phone, and of course Riley Strand goes missing from Luke Bryan's bar comes up on my Fox News. And so just a very sad situation, obviously, that family's going through. But just, for me going down there, and I mean, I grew up in Dallas, I never felt... We took Ubers. I never felt uncomfortable. I never felt unsafe. And, of course, this has nothing to do with the Riley Strain, but I was just very surprised that something like that happened down there. And, of course, I know they've searched the river down there. The river's only about 2 blocks from where that bar is. And so, you hope for the best. But all in all, a great trip. I would suggest any of the patriarchs out here that are looking for a weekend getaway or an anniversary trip for their wives, please consider Nashville because it is a great town to go hang out. There is a lot of life there, and there's a lot of fun things to do, and the nightlife is fun, and again, I felt very safe, and so go do it.
All right.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we got to make a trip. I thought everything we talked about, maybe trying to find a way to do that for just the same time next year. That would be cool.
Pats, get it on the books. We're going to take an SEC basketball tournament trip. Anybody who wants to go can meet us down there next year, and we're going to do a remote. That's our plan.
I think the wives didn't plan on attending the games. They would do something else.
Yeah, we can get them one of those pedal bars where they pedal around town and drink and sing karaoke and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So
after watching the Aggies play one game, we might want to just hop on.
That's it. Put it on. So another thing I want to touch on in this segment is St. Patrick's Day. I know we talked about it. I love St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of St. Patrick's Day. It's one of my favorite holidays. I don't know why. I think it's just because there's no obligation to it. Like there's no buying gifts or cooking huge meals, or it's just hanging out with friends, having a good time. You might have a drink or two, but really I think it's just more about having just fun, hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, and I think one thing too is a lot of the times when, because it is the second week of March, that typically we are coming out of the wintertime, out of our hibernation.
Yeah.
And it's like the first holiday where we feel like we're outside and the weather's nice and we're hanging out with our friends. So it's a little bit different vibe, which is awesome. But the main reason why I love St. Patrick's Day so much is because I love me a good Irish pub.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I always, anytime I'm anywhere a bigger town or any town and I can find an Irish pub, I gotta check it out.
I agree. So,
and I mean, I've been to Ireland, so that they're literally in Ireland. We were in Galway, and they were on literally every corner.
I am about it, and I guess the topic of conversation came up not only because it was St. Patrick's Day this weekend, but when I was down in Nashville on Broadway, I found myself an Irish pub, and we went and we listened to music, and I had me some Irish nachos, and I just thought, man, I love Irish pubs. They seem to be my perfect.
Well, I think that's a good speed, especially for you, Jake.
It's a great speed. I like a little bit of dimly lights. I like Jameson, on
Booths.
Yeah, I mean it's
Game on.
It's
Booth,
great.
Good music. And good food too. So I agree with you. I started my love for St. Patrick's Day probably like most people back in college, but John Mayer actually has a song called St. Patrick's Day, and me and one of my friends Andrew always listened to John Mayer growing up, and he kind of talks about how like it's the first holiday where you don't actually need to have a significant other to feel like you're like if you don't have a significant other, something's wrong with you. Like on New Year's, Valentine's Day, not really Christmas, but Christmas, you feel like you wish you had a significant other. Well, on St. Patrick's Day, you don't need a significant other. You're there to have fun with your friends.
Yeah, and of course, I want to make it very clear. Although I tend to do it because I love them so much, and I love Irish corn bombs, it is not normally okay to order an Irish car bomb on St. Patrick's Day. That is like...
That's a faux pas, huh?
Yeah, it's frowned upon. That's like ordering a 9/11 on July 4th. That's just not up to speed. And so, again, I love Irish car bombs, but again, don't walk into an Irish pub and order one on St. Patrick's Day because they might punch you in the face. Rightly deserved.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time in Nashville, and
I did.
and I think I'm glad that all went well. Last week was good, and this week has been starting out good. You probably got yourself back together, got the kids back going to school, and
back on speed.
Yep, we're all good to go.
That's
we're
it.
Adjusting to this daylight saving time, and we're moving on, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Hobbsie.
Hey, Jake.
We have an official sponsor.
Yeah, that's great.
Here at Patriarch Podcast, we believe ourselves to be average dads living in an average town in Texas. What better sponsor than Average Birds? A brand designed locally by a good friend of ours, Ben Hammonds. He created the brand with one thing in mind: to celebrate the beauty in everyday life. He wanted to embrace the average golfer, whether that person shoots 75, I wish, or 95, it's probably more like it for me, Hobbsie.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, Average Birds has been a go-to for me for the last couple of years. I wear it throughout the week, whether I'm working and having business meetings, or I'm going out on a Friday night, or me and Hobbs are hanging out on a Saturday with our wives. I am always rocking an Average Birds, and Hobbsie, I know you've gotten into it yourself.
Yeah, I'm rocking the hats. I am a personal favorite, this gray hat. It's a different little style, kind of a flat bill in the front, fits my sunglasses very nicely, and then the shirts the shirt that I have, it's very nice, but it's a nice golf polo.
Yeah, I agree. They make quality stuff. If there's anything not average about Average Birds,
it's the
quality
yeah.
And it's the price.
Yeah, that and the fashion, I think. I think it's a little bit, it's not going to be the plain Jane shirt. You're not getting just a regular old shirt or a regular hat. You're going to get something that's a little bit, and for me to say this fashion forward is a, I think Ben does a good job.
Yeah, and for a limited time right now, he is running a ton of spring specials, including our own discount. You can get an additional 20% off any discount currently going on with our code Patriarch. That's all lowercase, PATRIARCH, Patriarch. So head on over, check out his shop, get some swag, and as he says over there, come join the flock. We are in Hobbsie's Hobbies. During this segment, Hobbs will enlighten you on a cooking story, a recipe, or a technique he likes. This week, Hobbs, what are you filling us in with?
Yeah, so just kind of keep on the theme of things that I'm smoking lately, and things easy to do while you're sitting around watching sports. You got basketball this week, you got opening day next week, you got Masters next week. So you got a lot of things that you got to watch. So you need something easy to eat, something handheld. And so we're going to talk about smoking ribs. the way I've learned to do it and the way I do it, and then just talk about some different variations that you can do with that. And so, I used to always just do baby back, and then one day I decided to go crazy and get some spare ribs. And really, it doesn't really matter. You can get whatever you want. One's a little meatier. One's a little bit they're probably bigger. The spare ribs are a little bit bigger, but I would say baby back probably has a little bit, in my opinion, more meat on them. So it's just a personal preference, honestly. I usually get one of each or maybe two of one. And just like everything else I tell you guys with meat, you are wasting your time if you're just now. We haven't gotten to brisket yet, so this isn't go over brisket, but everything else I've told you, there's no point of just doing one. Yeah. You might as well do two. I think we're gonna try to do 3 on Saturday. They left over fine. There's no big deal. So let's get started. Basically, what I like to do, and I usually do it the night before, but I don't really think it matters. But you know me, it's just I'm a creature of habit. I like to you got to flip it over off the bone side. Take the silver skin off. I use a butter. I've tried different ways. It's kind of difficult, but the thing I've found recently, you need 2 things. You need a butter knife and you need a paper towel. And so what I do is I take the butter knife and I go right in the middle of the rib. So if you have it flipped over, you can see the bones. You go right in the middle. So between that 6th and 7th rib, and you pry that, and you're gonna on the edge. You're gonna work that butter knife underneath that silver skin, and you're just going to lift it. And then what I've found, and this is a trick I learned from my dad, you take the paper towel and you pull with the paper towel, and it doesn't slip away. Like you're real slick traction with your hand, so it gives you a little traction. Works great. You got to pull that off of there. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've seen people do it different ways, and I've done it different ways. I've kept it on before. I've just scored the silver skin before, and I just feel like I've gotten more, I would think, a better cook when I take it off, and then a better, I think it's a better bite when you get done. So it's not going to ruin it if you just don't want to do it. I will tell you that, but I always do it. I think it's something that you need to do. Like I said, I've done it all different ways. So after you do that, you gotta baste it with something. I use yellow mustard, and then I use a seasoning. You can use anything you want. I think right now I'm using Killen's barbecue. I think it's the rib mix. I've used all different types. I've even used just plain salt and pepper. And so I've made a 1-to-1 salt pepper mix, and I think it's 2-to-1 pepper, salt, and the thing about that is, it's fine for me. I like pepper, but your kids probably don't really want a real peppery rib. So if you're thinking about your kids eating it, you're gonna want something a little bit sweeter. So I always go with something like that has a little bit of sugar in it. Right. And it's real. And then after that, I mean, it's gonna take 4 hours total. So 275 on your smoker. Throw it in there, ribs down, bone down, and you're going to, so you're going to flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. So mustard, seasoning. Then I put mine in the fridge, let it sit. They say you only need 30 minutes, but I usually do it overnight just because, once again, creature habit. And then 275 on the smoker, throw them in there, let it go for 3 hours. I don't spray it with orange juice. I don't do any of that. You can do that if you want to. I don't really think it does anything. And then I'm going to go out there. You're going to need some foil. You're going to need some heavy-duty foil. You're going to need some brown sugar. You're going to need some honey and some orange juice, apple juice. If you don't have apple juice, you can. My dad uses beer. Honestly, I use apple juice. I don't think it matters. You just basically steaming it.
That's right. You're steaming it and moistening it.
Yeah, I don't really think it makes a difference. Anyway, you're going to want to put down double layer foil, so 2 things of foil. And then on that foil, just take your honey, go across with it, just a real nice layer of honey, and then sprinkle the brown sugar. Take the rib out, put it meat side down, and then wrap it up. You want to make a little boat, wrap it up, pour the liquid in there, about 6 ounces, then seal it up tight, put it back on for another hour. After they get them out, I like to let them rest, probably about 30 minutes, hour, and then you should be able to slice them. They should be beautiful. You should slice them and eat them. I've done that method, tried and true, and it's easy and makes a great product, and it's low maintenance.
And I've heard a lot of people, we talk about it all the time. Pellet grill, we love having them. I wouldn't do anything else. I've heard people doing them in the oven too. I think that's okay.
I mean, I've seen people do it, just because I get interested in stuff like this.
Sure.
I've seen people do it that way. You're just not gonna. Your Traeger is an oven that has smoke. So
right, you're not gonna get as smoky.
You're not gonna get so you're not gonna get that smoke. But other than that, I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal if you do it in the oven.
Right.
You're basically doing the exact same thing, and after most of some people roll in their eyes. They're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he's talking about this." But once you put it in the foil, the smoke's done.
Yeah.
So you can put it anywhere you want. If if you want to bring it back inside, if it starts raining, you can put it back in there. So once you wrap it, you can heat it wherever you want.
Yeah, and of course, my first method is going to be smoking it on the pellet grill. Let me clarify that. But for those people at home that are like, I don't have a smoker, how am I going to do this? You can do it in the oven. People do it in the oven. It's going to come out just as good, tenderness wise. The only difference is it's going to be not as smoky.
I mean, my father-in-law has done it on his propane Weber. Sure. You just make sure he stays consistent.
That's right. Keep the heat consistent. It's no different.
And
all my propane heater all my propane heaters out there, it's no different. So now, what are we pairing this with?
Yeah. So, and this is something that I wanted to share that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna film making this drink on Sunday and post it on the podcast Instagram. My sister gave me that idea, so we're gonna. I don't have.
Shout out, sis.
Yeah, shout out, Jennifer. I don't have. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm decent with technology. I don't have any problems with it, but I have never done one of these things. But I feel like everything else in the world, if some of these people out there can do it, I'll figure it out.
You can do it.
So I'm gonna try to post it. But basically, I call it a faux Coco Vita, because that's a canned drink that my wife makes, and I decided that I want to make it because it's a lot cheaper that way. And so we'll get into it really more on Sunday. But basically, you need white rum, you need coconut rum, which you can use Malibu. You need fresh lime juice. You need coconut water. You need you can use a seltzer if you don't want it as sweet, but we use Sprite Zero, and and low. You can use full pineapple juice, but everything we do in my house is usually low calorie or no calorie when it comes to the add-ins. My wife's a type 1 diabetic, so we really kind of try to make everything low carb the best we can. So we're not crazy about it, but we try to do it the best we can. So when I make her drinks, we don't usually have a lot of sugar. So we use the pineapple juice that is 40 cal, I don't know what it's called. It's like light or 40 calorie pineapple. I don't know what it is. Yeah. But anyway, it's the lower carb. So those are the ingredients. On Sunday, we're going to film it, and then I'm going to figure out how to post it on Instagram where it looks decent. And then, I think it's, anyway, if it's a good drink, my wife likes them a lot. I think it tastes good. I can't say it probably is as amazing but it's cheaper and it's probably lower it's probably about the same amount of calories. But anyway, it's a good drink. So
that's awesome.
Kind of tastes like a pina colada.
So keep an eye out on that on social media.
Yeah, so Sunday we're going to try to put that out there. Check that out.
It's perfect. Awesome.
So yeah, that's it. I've got some things keep going around for next week, and so Hobbies for this week. We did ribs, and we're going to talk about a drink for the Patriarch podcast listeners, the Patties. Hopefully, you can try to make it on your own if that's something you want to do.
Segment 3, in case you missed it, where we highlight things that are going on in the sports world or went on this past week in the sports world. Let's talk about Scottie Scheffler winning the Players Championship. Did you watch?
I did. We talked about last week him being the favorite, and coming in on Sunday. It's so funny, man, because like I watch. I got a lot of things. I told you I had a lot of things to watch last week.
Yeah,
so,
of course you did.
So the Players Championship was on, but I was just kind of keeping up with it.
Right.
And Scottie wasn't around for most of it. I think Thursday he did all right. He was like top 15 or so. But Friday, Saturday, he wasn't doing anything. I was thinking he's just sticking around, right? And I thought, man, I was thinking we're gonna have. I was thinking at the time we had about 3 guys that are gonna come down to it: Xander, Wyndham, and then who's the last one? It didn't matter, he didn't win. And then all of a sudden I turn it on and here comes Scottie.
Yeah.
And he's just birdie, and I go, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
And it actually, for me, who's a big basketball nut, it took my attention, and baseball. I was watching the Aggies play, and I was watching basketball. I had to turn off of it because I had to watch him.
Yeah. You know, they say in a professional tournament going into Sunday, if you're 6 shots off the lead, you can get there. 6 shots is about the max. And he did it. He shot 64 in the final day to win it.
Yeah.
And, of course, Xander and Wyndham and everybody else that was competing with them just couldn't really put any momentum together. And I think something to be said about that is what they say is on the final day when you're in the lead, you gotta calculate all your risk.
Yeah, because you're just trying to play par golf, right?
You're just trying to play par golf and not blow up, right?
Right.
Or trying to do something that's going to
snowball. You don't want to
cause
snowball.
you to blow up, right?
You don't want to snowman and then think, oh crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'll just be no risk. But then you got a guy like Scott Scheffler, very talented. I mean, obviously best golfer in the world. He's going to take those risks, and for him, he's got a good shot of him landing. And if they don't, well, no big deal. I wasn't going to win anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, he's made enough money in the last couple of years, so it really doesn't matter, let's be honest. I mean, he could probably retire and live off his earnings, but all that to say, he's like, man, I can go out there and I can chase every pin.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I make an 8 on one hole. I'm already out of it anyways. I might as well go find and go search, and sure enough, he did it. And
I couldn't believe that last one, that Wyndham, man.
Yeah.
The hole out?
I
thought it was down. He did too.
We all did. We legitimately all thought it was in. When he hit the putt, I mean, you don't get closer than that.
No.
And
I think it touched everywhere around the hole.
It touched everywhere around. And you know the ironic thing about it, a lot of people don't realize, last week at the Arnold Palmer, Scottie won. Wyndham got second. So, of course, Wyndham had a chance to eagle 16.
Mm-hmm.
He makes that putt. It's a different story. Wyndham didn't play very good on Sunday. And he makes that putt, and it's a lot different story. You know, he birdied 16, turned around birdied 17, going into 18. He knew he needed to make birdie to tie it and go on. And of course, gosh, I mean, you want to talk about a hard golf hole. 18 at TPC Sawgrass might be one of the hardest holes in golf. Period. Especially when the wind's coming out across the lake. And so all that to say is, congratulations, Scottie. Was a great tournament. Felt like we were back in normal golf with the live going on. Things that just
we didn't
crazy.
We didn't have a Kim update this week, so because Liv had a week off.
Well, we did, but he didn't get last because there was no tournament.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. We could have an update. He didn't get last.
Yeah, he didn't get last. So
maybe he got his haircut.
He got his haircut. So a couple more weeks.
I can give him one.
He needs it. Good Lord. I need to post that picture that somebody gave to me, and it's just bad. But all that to say is we're back in the swing of golf. It feels so good.
Yeah, and a great way to start.
Yeah, great way to start. And that's what That's what the golf guy. That's what they need. That's what they need. They need interesting things to happen to pique the interest again. And they need Tiger. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Well,
they need Tiger.
And I mean, if you're not going to get Tiger, you got to have people like that driving you on Sunday.
Absolutely. Still here in the zone. We've talked a little bit about it. We want to get into a deeper conversation about college basketball. Impressive wins coming over the weekend. I think we're highlighting probably everything from last Thursday in through Championship Sunday. And, looking around all of the brackets, of course, NC State went on to win the ACC, coming all the way almost from the bottom, the 10th seed.
Yeah, and I was telling Jake while watching that on Sunday, it reminded me, and he probably doesn't, well, you probably do. 2000, it reminded me a lot of 2006. Syracuse going all the way through the Big East tournament. And they, we said NC State did 5 games in 5 days, right?
Yeah, because they would have played as a
Which is
seed.
more impressive than Syracuse, because they only did 4 days.
Yeah.
4 games in 4 days. But still, it's unbelievable.
And it's the ACC.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You're doing it against the ACC. Yeah. Duke. They beat Duke. They beat, Virginia's not very good, but they made the tournament. And so they beat UNC, who's obviously a number 1 overall. So they did really good. But I was going to talk about that Syracuse run was just, I never thought you would see something like that again, where somebody made a run. So that was exciting. But Jake was saying, do you think that they can make a run? I think you asked me that, and I said, well, funny you say that, because Syracuse lost in the first round in 2006 to my Aggies that year. So, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you run out of gas.
The last couple seasons with the whole college basketball tournament, big dance, I've come to expect the unexpected.
Yeah, I think I'm not saying this is the first 5 or 10 years that the 3-point. I feel like since Steph Curry, and he changed the game. That there are so many guys out there that can get hot from 3 that if it happens, you have a chance to beat anybody.
Yeah. And
so like Nebraska, I'm thinking about Nebraska now. Look, they could beat A&M easily. I'm not saying A&M, but they've got a kid on their team, the Japanese kid who, if he gets hot, they got a chance against Houston. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of guys that can shoot out there. They're not on my team, but there's a lot of guys that can shoot out there. I think anything can happen.
Of course, looking around all the conferences and highlighting some of the wins. SEC winner, of course, Auburn. Big 12, Iowa State put a thumping on Houston.
Yeah, Iowa State played well. I really think Auburn is underrated. I think they got a chance to do big things. I think they're going to challenge UConn in that bracket.
Bruce Pearl might be one of the best college basketball coaches.
Oh, I think he is, and I think that Tennessee. Well, they have Rick Barnes, who I think Texas kicks every day. They don't have him, kicks themselves for that. Yeah. But until they got Rick Barnes, I think they were really upset that they didn't have Bruce Pearl.
I've got Iowa State and Bruce Pearl in my Final Four. I think both those teams have a very good chance to go deep. So, Big East, UConn winning the Big East, not surprised.
No, they're getting better every week.
They are getting better every week. They're back to their old UConn ways. Yeah. Pac-12, Oregon winning that, and then Big Ten, Illinois. Another crazy story that I wanted just to highlight is the Long Beach State University. Did you see this?
I have, and I've continued to follow it.
Today he said in his media conference, he said, it feels like an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah. Well, wasn't he talking about how I can pretty much answer whatever question I want because I'm not even getting paid anymore. And then the Gonzaga coach comes out there and goes, he goes, they've handled this so bad, he's not even getting health insurance anymore from them.
That's awful.
He said most schools will just keep extending the contract until you're done at least.
Yeah. And it's sad. I realize the chances at a 4 seed of going on to win it, aren't nearly as high. And of course, let me take a step back. If you don't know what happened, Long Beach State's coach was fired going into the conference tournament this past week as the 4th seed. He'd been there for 17 years. They decided they were going to move in a different direction. They let him know before the conference tournament. He goes on to win the conference tournament and gets into the March Madness big dance.
Yeah, and
so,
you don't know. If you win the conference tournament, you get an automatic
Yeah,
qualifier.
he's an AQ, and so an automatic qualifier. And so he's still coaching, but technically unemployed. And he's held it. Honestly, he's held it with grace. I would be burning some bridges down. I would be livid.
Yeah, especially after 17 years.
17 years.
I mean, you're kind of showing your true colors by not paying him. And also, I mean, in my opinion, if you're not going to pay him, they should have just put an interim coach to coach the tournament and then just moved on with life, right? Hey, you're not even going to coach the tournament. We're going to move on because we're not going to pay you anymore. Because I think as an athletic department, your job should be saying, what is every possible scenario? What if he does win? What are we going to do? Well, we're going to keep paying him until he loses.
Yeah.
Like we said, we're living in a world where anything can happen. And just a conference tournament, I mean, somebody can get, like I said, someone get hot, you can win.
Sure. St. Peter's did it last year. FAU. And, earlier this week he was like, wow, I'm hoping to continue coaching. Yeah, you just won a conference tournament. There are plenty of Division I programs around there that are looking for a head coach.
Yeah.
The dude's not going away from college basketball at all. And so I'm excited to see how they kind of continue to play out. Of course, my Horns laid an egg last week. They lost to Kansas State.
They're in. They're in,
but
they're safely. They got a good little deal there. The team they're playing had to play last night, so
Colorado State. They play Colorado State, although they walked all over Virginia. So
they rolled them.
I think Texas wins first round. I think they get thumped in a close game to Tennessee, and then of course I got Tennessee in my Final Four, so I think they go on. Your Ags though, what a showing last weekend.
Yeah, they say what you want about Buzz. He always gets them going at the right time, and I mean it's the last. So this is the first year and. So out of the last 3 years of Buzz, he made it to the finals. The two last years. This year was the first time he only made the semis, and I say only. I mean that's pretty good. I just felt like honestly, they ran out of gas.
Yeah, of course.
Florida got hot. They ran out of gas because they were rolling in that first half.
Right.
And then they just fell. I mean, they just came out flat. And that's good. So Buzz got them rolling. Last year he had them rolling, and then they got walked by Penn State, and so we'll see what happens with Nebraska. I'm not making any assumptions. I think it's gonna be a good game, and if we can guard the 3-point, we got a chance.
This is the first year where I've looked at it and thought there are a lot of very talented basketball teams in this tournament.
Yeah.
A lot of good 3 or 4 seeds that have a chance to win it all. And
yeah, I like that. I think that makes it more fun.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, especially whenever you've got teams that are so dominant in the top 1 and 2, sometimes that third weekend can get kind of boring.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when you're getting into less games.
Yeah.
The first couple weekends, you're like, I've got nothing but college basketball.
Yeah.
And then you get into the 16 and the Elite 8, and it's like, there's only 8 games and then 4 games. So
they're really only playing it like, couple days a game or a couple games a day.
Exactly. So,
but you can't. I think, and I'm gonna do this some point. I'm not saying it is, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, these might be my favorite days of sports of the year. I mean, it's just so much fun. Now, usually, this is different this year because usually my spring break falls on March Madness and St. Patrick's Day. So this is the first year that I'm working. So I'm not going to be able to just watch like I would. I'll try to do my best to, I always have people. I think last year I actually turned on the TV and the cafeteria and let the kids watch games. For the second weekend,
sure,
during lunch,
right?
So I don't do any of that anymore. So I'm not gonna say what my APs are gonna do. They're probably not gonna do that, knowing them, which is cool. But I think this is some of my I think this next stretch around here, this is the most fun I have watching sports.
Awesome. Last thing I want to touch on in the sports segment coming out middle of this week. Shohei Ohtani's interpreter got fired for a massive theft. What's your thought on this?
So it just dropped today. I just saw it today.
It just dropped today.
And so and you gotta understand, when I get home, it's dinner,
right?
Good kids,
wire to wire.
But so while the kids are in the bathtub, I saw it first on my way home. I saw it. I got it in my car. I was looking at it, and I saw it, and I thought, oh, that dude was stealing money. Okay, he's that's weird. You'd think you would know $4.5 million.
$4.5 million isn't just a couple dollars.
Yeah. So then the kids are in the bathtub, and I'm starting to look at Twitter, and it's starting to come out that maybe we didn't get the whole story.
No.
Some offshore betting going on. Apparently, earlier in the week, this interpreter told ESPN that he kind of puts down some bets for Shohei. Or he transfers money for him, and then later on in the week, after all this came out, I was like, no, he doesn't bet at all. No, Shohei doesn't bet.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gotten the whole story yet, Jake, and I think this is going to turn into a big deal.
So I do think there's more involved in this. Although I'll tell you what, ESPN, when they broke it, there was a long article involved in it, and so I know we kind of briefly talked about it. The story is Shohei Ohtani's interpreter is tied up in some sort of gambling debt. We don't know if it's his or Shohei's, but it is so far at $4.5 million. And how the FBI caught it or got wind of it is the transactions to pay off the 4.5 money that was in debt. Shohei was transferring money over, and it flagged on the FBI because the FBI was basically looking into the guy who's the bookie who's running it out of California, and California is really strict that basically I don't think it's legal in California quite yet.
I think so.
Yeah, it's not legal in California, and so they were looking at that. And anyways, go read the article, but I guess what's crazy to me is, first off, $4.5 million isn't like $45,000, right? Which seems like a ton to me.
I mean, it probably is for Shohei.
Right, it is, but I mean, you think when you'd amass, and I was reading the article and he was saying he met the bookie originally in 2021, and by the end of 2022, he had amassed almost $1 million, and then from there it snowballs, right? You're trying to play catch up, so you're betting $500,000 to get the $500,000, and then you're $1.5 million down because you lose it. It's a vicious cycle.
I don't know anything about that, but that sounds bad.
It's a vicious cycle, right? I think sport gambling is an epidemic in this country right now. I don't want to get into that, but that's my personal opinion.
That's another show for another day.
That is another show for another day. All that to say is now he's looked up and it's $4.5 million. And that was $4.5 million in the fall. He's been making payments since this past fall. And so there's a lot to go on. Some people are speculating that maybe it's Shohei's and he's taking the fall for it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just think you... that's kind of what people are trying to maybe imply, is that he's falling on the sword for Shohei because Major League Baseball is kind of telling him to do this so they don't lose the golden boy.
Right.
I just think they can't lose because
Pete Rose is licking his chops.
I mean, what are they gonna do? I mean, that's my thing is if there was some gambling going on with Shohei, what are you going to do about Pete Rose?
Here's the question. If it wasn't going on in California and it was going on, say, in New York, where sports betting's legal, is it okay? Is it because it's tied up in a state where it's illegal,
can we
and the
ask
FBI, and he's doing it through an illegal bookie, essentially. He's not doing it through an MGM.
I'm wanting to know, like, what is he betting on?
He claims it's...
I mean, I saw someone jokingly say, Shohei gave up 5 runs to the A's. I want to know what happened.
He he, as in the interpreter, claims that it is amassed from college football, NFL, NBA, and international soccer.
Yeah, well, it probably is.
And so, a lot. This is just the beginning. I just have a feeling this is the beginning, and like I said, and maybe I want to go back on something because I don't mean to offend anybody. I just think that we live in a world where sports gambling is so easy. You can get on your phone and you can put in a bet no matter where you're at in the next 30 seconds.
Well, I mean, except and we've made it so normal. Not that there's any.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I don't do it, right. But I will say that I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody doing it. I understand why people do it. Sure. It kind of makes games fun, especially when it's something you don't really, a game you're not really interested in. Well, now I got a little skin in the game. I get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we put the lines on. They talk about the lines on College Game Day.
Yeah, and that's a problem. You get on ESPN now, and I've noticed it in the last couple of weeks. They have the line on every game on the main page. Every game is right there, and it's just so easily accessible, right? And so take that with you how you want. I do fantasy sports. I'm not saying I don't gamble. I don't do day-to-day gambling over just random games.
No, we'll make picks. I mean, but it's just like over a season-long thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do fantasy. I don't do day-to-day gambling, and so all that to say is I think there's going to be more to come out. I was intrigued because of course Shohei just signed an unbelievable contract, and so I got to thinking about, I wonder what he makes. He's quoted himself saying he makes anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 each year, and so it's just crazy.
$500,000. Shohei the interpreter. Okay, that makes sense.
So it's just crazy, and still you amass 9x that in 18 months.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's a sad. I feel for that guy, and if it is him, I hope he gets help, and it's going to be interesting what happens to Shohei. I mean, obviously he's had some sort of part in it. It's going to be interesting to see if anything comes down, but we'll continue to keep an eye on that and update all of our listeners. And so, awesome. I'm excited to see how these sports unfold the next couple weeks.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it.
Weekend review. Hobbs.
Yeah, so what's going on?
Nope. Weekend preview. Hobbs, what's going on this weekend?
Yeah, so like I told you, I fed the lawn last week. It's gonna get warm probably starting Friday, and so I'm expecting my grass to start shooting up. So I plan on mowing on Saturday. I plan on spending some time mowing and edge, mow, blow. That's my way of doing it. And so then I actually have to work a little bit on Saturday morning, but after that I plan on getting home, getting the smoker going. I'm gonna smoke some ribs. I think Jake's family's gonna come over. We're gonna go over here, whatever we want to do, and just watch some games. I'm hoping on Saturday I'm celebrating an Aggie win.
Sure.
I'm gonna watch on Friday night. Actually, I also have conference baseball going on, so a lot going on there. Amy and I talked about filming that drink on Saturday together, and then just getting the batteries recharged, and got work on Monday. I hope I have a good weekend of basketball games to watch, and a good weekend with the family. The kids have even started to get into the basketball madness, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I got 2 words. College basketball. That's it. Eat, breathe, sleep, college basketball this weekend.
I just hope we're watching a Horns game or we're watching an Aggie game Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold my breath.
It's not gonna ruin the weekend.
Let me say, if I go in with the expectation of them not winning and they win, then I'm happy. And so
I think I'm just gonna go in saying I've seen this team play really bad and I've seen them play really good, so I don't know what's gonna show up.
Yeah. It's going to be...
Most quad 3 losses and quad 1 wins of a team that's gotten in.
Yeah.
Like, they said no team has ever been left out that has that many quad 1 wins, and no team has ever been let in with as many quad 3 losses. So that's where A&M's sitting.
Yeah.
Just Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, the complete opposite sides of things. So.
And Texas is the same way. Texas shows up and plays lights out, and then they can show up and you're like, who is this team?
Yeah. So again, very low expectations, but excited to hang out this weekend, like you said, with you guys and just enjoy Saturday, and hopefully the weather's super nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, segment 4, our final segment, 5 and 5, where we rank a subject, brand, or thing and give it our top 5 favorites and our not so top 5 favorites, and everything in between. Well, that's just kind of a moot point. So Hobbs is going to bring it this week, and of course, with college basketball being going on, I thought what better way, one thing I feel like everybody's doing right now is going to look at TV prices. And so I thought, let's rank TVs.
TV brands. So we're going TV brands, and we're talking about big screen TVs, okay? And
I do want to say this before we get going, because I talked to you about this. I'm going to Best Buy to buy my TV most of the time. Maybe Walmart if I'm going to get a TCL. I feel like Best Buy is the Victoria's Secret for men. I want to go in there every time I drive by. I want to look around, and I might just buy something.
Yeah, you can't. I can go in there and walk around for probably a good hour and just look at everything. I love electronics, so I can do that. And the other thing I love about Best Buy, and I've done this, and this is a pro tip, this is a dad tip. They always have some sort of 12-month no interest credit card that. Now, I'm not a big credit card guy, so I hope you listen to this whole segment. But the zero interest is basically free money. Like right now, let's say you're buying a $1,200 TV and you're getting it for 12 months no interest. Well, you just divide that thing by 12, you're only paying $100 a month. Yeah. And then right then cancel the credit card right after you're done. I do that every time I go to Best Buy.
Yeah, that and take that other $1,100, put it in the bank, get your 8%, and you're still even making money. Yeah,
so I recommend Best Buy for big purchases like that. I think we do washer dryer there. And Best Buy is a good company. They've and I've personal experience with them. In my life I've had to deal with a little bit of tragedy, and I've had a little bit of debt, and I don't know how they found it. This is a pretty cool story. I don't know how they found out about it, but I got a letter in the mail, and they wiped my debt from them. We had just bought washer and dryer or whatever, and then so we had a little bit of debt with them, and they actually wrote me a letter saying, just sorry about your loss, whatever. We're gonna clear your debt. So I feel like I owe.
Dude, that gives you chills. That's the kind of places you want to give your business to.
Yeah, so I shout out Best Buy.
Awesome.
I get big purchases from them.
That's a great.
I'm not saying that I'm going to go and buy every cord or whatever, but if I'm going to buy a big one, then I go to Best Buy. So
that's great.
So shout out Best Buy. So anyway, let's get on with the brands.
Let's roll.
We're going to start with the not so top 5, and just like everything else, guys, these are mine.
These are not yours.
And the good thing about TV brands, I don't think that people have a lot of they're probably not. It's not going to be like 90s country songs where everybody's yelling at me. So number 5 on these are the ones I wouldn't buy, or these are the ones I despise. And so number 5 would be a Sony. And really the big reason is you're paying for the name. It's very expensive. They're not. I don't think they're anything better than what you're going to get out of anything else, except that they're very, very expensive. And I've even reckoned to say they're kind of expensive to get people to they're very expensive, and I feel like they're kind of complicated to use. Yeah. And sometimes when I've been at people's houses with Sonys, their smart TV format kind of stinks. They don't have all the apps that I want, so I'm not a Sony guy. Number 4, Vizio. I feel like Vizio is just that's the old Walmart. It's going to be on the floor type, once again, very few apps on their smart TV. The other thing that drives me insane is the how they don't have many HDMI inputs. Like they might just have one or two, and now I feel like I need at least 3 or 4. I might have a couple of things to plug in,
Yeah.
So Vizio. Next one's 3 RCA, bad quality. It's actually a GE brand, and I kind of feel bad trashing it because it's an American company. But I'm as I think about electronics, Jake, I don't know if I'm actually more comfortable with buying from maybe a different country when it comes to electronics. I'm okay with it.
There's no reason not to be.
And RCA, I've read places where they don't even make their own TVs anymore. They just they just slap an RCA on somebody else's product. So I don't even know if that's true, but I was doing some Reddit reviews on
You got
RCA.
deep into TV
Yeah,
brand.
I kind of got into the weeds last night.
FBI sitting outside watching them.
When's the last time anyone even seen an RCA TV?
I had one. We had one in our house in Peach Blossom Court. Shout out Peach Blossom Court. We had one on there. But yeah, it's been a long time.
Number 2, Westinghouse, and I'll tell you why. I think this is so funny because when you're young and you don't have any money and you're just trying to buy the biggest TV you can, you always go to like Best Buy or somewhere and they've got this big old Westinghouse and you're just thinking, oh, I'm getting that one. It's like, it's a 70-inch TV for $400 and you're thinking, I gotta get it. And they're just not very good TVs.
I agree, not very good. Of course, the Westinghouse is made right down here, right in Round Rock.
Round Rock,
and
yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. Not great. What's coming in at number 1?
Number
What's the
1,
dead last?
Oh, Insignia TVs. Fire, and you might know them as Fire TVs. I hate Fire TVs. I have one. I've had, and I'm kind of locked into it because, and this isn't Best Buy's fault. I bought a Fire TV at Best Buy, and actually. I got the warranty with Best Buy because I put it outside, and my idea was if this thing dies within the first 2 years, I'm just going to take it back, and that's actually what happened, and I thought they're going to figure out that this is an outdoor TV, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to be like, oh, it's been outdoor, it's wet or whatever. They didn't even question. They were just like, oh, yeah, it's within our warranty, here's a check.
Yeah, or the old, we don't make that model anymore, so we're just going to give you the latest one.
Well, they said to me, we don't make that anymore, here's the money, and you can do what you want with it.
Easy enough.
And so, and they're so slow. The process, I don't know what processor to use. I don't know anything about processors, but I can just tell you, I don't know why Fire TVs are like the slowest thing in America. I sit on my back porch and like by the time, if I'm grilling something like quick, like, just sausage or something, by the time I'm done sausage, it's like there was no point to turn the TV on. I haven't even gotten the app open, so hate them, done with them. I'm over it. All right, so top 5, and there's gonna be a couple on here that everyone's gonna be like, what? But I have my reasoning. Number 5, Hisense, and I get a Hisense because of the Roku aspect. And it's the Roku is attached to it, and they're not expensive, and I wouldn't buy it as my I don't know. I haven't ever bought like one for my main TV in my living room, but I think they do a decent job.
Mr. Jackson across the street from you, he pulled up their garage today and he had a 75-inch Hisense in it. So
Yeah,
he loves them too.
Yeah, and then number 4 is actually Philips. I have a Philips. One thing about I have a Philips in the garage, not in the garage, in the guest bedroom. It's a smaller TV. Once again, Roku. It's really nice. It works great, and it works good. And it wasn't very expensive, so I would go with that. Now the last, this one, number 3, LG. At first, I was giving it a bad rap, and I think because I know back when they used to make cell phones. They had really bad cell phones, so I was kind of turned off by LG.
Oh, LG Slide? Come on. What? Gosh. There's so many people my age right now that are about to pull off this road and drive back and hit you with their car. Because that was a statement you just made. But go ahead.
Well, I never had a good experience with it. And But I've had an LG. I was gifted an LG TV, and it works great. And so it works great. It works fast, and so no problem with LG. Probably a higher end, expensive, but you get what you pay for.
A lot of HDMI outputs.
Lots.
Tons.
And they're pretty sturdy TVs. They're pretty durable.
This is quick, but when I first got the LG that's in our living room, it was having some issues. It was like stalling out or whatever, and I was reading some reviews. They're like, yeah, take off one of the middle panels of the TV and put it in the oven at 300. And I was like, no, not doing that. So it's worked ever since. I didn't end up doing anything. I just reset it or whatever. It was fine. But I was like, I'm not putting this in the oven.
I don't know about that.
Number two,
and this is my favorite, just inexpensive TCL. TCL is a great brand, actually, and I think it's Walmart's brand. And they do a good job of just they make a good product. I like anything attached to Roku. You probably have figured that out.
Roku's amazing
because it's user friendly. Everybody in my house can figure it out, and that includes mother-in-law, father-in-law, mother, my wife, my kids have kind of figured out how to use Roku. So I don't have to do everything. They got a great remote it's an app on your phone.
Yep.
It's great. So I like and TCL is inexpensive, and honestly, you don't feel like if something happens to that TV, it's the worst thing in the world because you didn't spend an arm and a leg on it.
I agree. Price is very good bang for your buck. Very reasonable.
And then my number one, and I think it should be everyone's, is a Samsung. And if you're going to find a TV for your living room, that's your main TV. I've had mine now for over 10 years, and it's just now the picture's starting to just kind of give a little bit. But it's been 10 years, and I pretty much have the TV on all the time.
Yeah.
So, but it's tried and true, works great. I think the smart TV has actually gotten a lot better. My smart TV isn't great, but like I said, it's from 2013.
Right.
My dad has a brand new Samsung, and it is his absolute. They're fine.
Yeah.
And the remotes are great. I think it's a great product. I think it's a great brand. Samsung, and like I said, it's going to be a little bit more expensive for a Samsung, but you're getting a great TV.
Absolutely. Well, that was awesome. I think that's a good one for this time of year.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what our people have to think. But I would think the top three are probably going to be pretty consistent.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to feel the same way. I mean, here's what I do want to know. If you like Fire TV over Roku TV, I got to know why.
Yes, I agree. I don't love Fire Stick.
And the problem is I started with it because Amazon is so easy just to buy it. You just click it on Amazon, but they're crappy.
Yeah.
And even the plug-in ones are not any good. You got to go Roku.
There's too many interfaces, and then when you're in the Fire Stick, but then you try to get in your cable, it's I don't love it. I have some friends that have one, and it's too hard to work. So
we got beef.
All that to say, great 5-5 this week. So that's gonna conclude this week's episode.
Yeah, that was fun. We had a good time this week. We
always have a good time.
And I gotta tell you, I feel like I came over today and I was tired from work and then it was just a long day and this was nice. It was fun to talk.
Always
and
is.
I think we got
a
lot of stuff covered too. So
well, as long as things keep happening in this world, we'll keep reporting. So thanks guys for listening. Of course, go on our social media, follow us, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, now X, TikTok. Please go out and follow us, spread the word, and have a great weekend. Enjoy all the sports. We'll see you next week.
Later, Patties.